Good morning, July 23rd, and it is the final day of Tour de France. But it is also the first day of Tour de Femme, which is the women's version. So Tour de France is men racing and Tour de Femme is women's racing. So, we still have a lot of spinning to do, so I plan on keep going. Whatever I have to do is going to take longer than July anyway. But I wanted to update you. I washed my yarns. I think they're dry. We got home from the wedding just after like 10 o'clock last night, and I put these on the Nitty Naughty and I washed them, and I think they're dry, but wool holds water that you can't always tell. So I'm not sure if you can tell. This is the 2-ply here. This is the 3-ply over here. And I calculated grist for before I wash this because the yarn will shrink up, so you lose some yardage. So it's not an official count at all, but just off the top of my head, the grist for the 3-ply was in the 800 yard range for, I shouldn't even say grist. The grist was more than that. It was like 1600, but for my 8 ounces, it was 800-ish yards. And for the 2-ply, I want to say it was like 1100 yards for the 8 ounces. So based on that, of course, I still have to recalculate after washing to see, make sure, because I would like to have around 800 yards for the shawl. And like I said, a fingering to sport weight. So I think we did get a little plumping. This is the 3-ply. It looks pretty thick on that fingering line. Let me see how it looks in the sport. And these are so subjective. I don't know. It's nicely filling up the sport spot. So, but I think we have some thinner strands. Like, let's look at this one. This one looks thinner. So obviously hand spun has variances. There you go. It's still filling it pretty well. So that's the 3-ply. Also, I was worried that I had over twisted this, but it does not seem to be over twisted. Like there might be one little extra twist in there, but that's really nothing, at least in my book. So let's take a look at the 2-ply and see. This looks a lot more airy. I probably just need to put a little less twist into my 3-ply if I'm being honest. There we go. It's definitely, the 2-ply is filling the fingering one. I'm actually really surprised about that. It even seems to kind of be filling in the sport. So that's a hard decision. I found the 2-ply easier to spin, but I think I like the outcome of the 3-ply yarn better. It's probably very hard to tell much of anything this way, but that's pretty good. So this is the 2-ply, and that's the 3-ply over here. So can you see where this more like spirals around each other? This looks more like a tube. So they say a 2-ply is good for lace, and a 3-ply is good for, or best for, cables or something like that with stitch definition. So this being brioche, or is it brioche and fisherman's rib or something like that? It's definitely not a lace type of project. So I'm going to recalculate grist once I know this is dry. Yeah, it still feels a little damp. Try and get a better idea of my approximate yardage. Now it's super hard because my 3-ply sample is 5 grams and my 2-ply sample is 3 grams. So it's not a lot of your yarn to base your assumption on yardage on. It's going to vary. So it's just an estimate, but I think the pattern calls for 700-ish yards of sport weight of the main color. So if I have a little more than that, I could make either the shawl a little bit bigger, or it'll just kind of make up for variances. This yarn is very stretchy. That's nice. Being a woolen prep means there's more air. It's going to have more bounce, more stretch. I've showed you this a million times. I'm going to show it again. So yeah, can you see like that piece right there, super fat, and then that one's super skinny. So it's just going to have variances, and some of it's because part of it has more twist than others. I'm a lot less precise about how much twist the yarn has with the drop spindle. I've noticed that. I know a lot of people play on their wheel, but I would like to keep this in all spindle project. So I'm happy with it. No matter if I go with the 2-ply or the 3-ply, I think it's going to come out really great. I should probably knit a swatch, but since I only have one color, I don't really plan on doing that. So little update on my sleep saga. I got home, like I said, around 10. I think we went to bed around 11. I was exhausted, so I slept with 2 hours yesterday. And even right now, it's like my brain hurts. I'm so tired. And I went to bed. I woke up at 2:45 in the morning and I could not sleep. So it doesn't matter, like I'm completely exhausted. I can't sleep. So I don't know what I'm going to do, honestly. I think I'm going to try to sleep during the day today. It's like 6:55 in the morning. So if I try and do like quote unquote my normal sleep schedule today, this is about the time I normally go to bed. Hopefully I can sleep decently, stay up tonight, go to bed fairly early in the morning, get a little extra sleep, and then I have to go back to work. Like, I don't know where this weekend went. It basically went to like me not sleeping. Look at that cute little skein. This is the 2-ply and the 3-ply together. I suppose in a pinch, I could use my, whatever I don't end up using. If I ran out of yarn, I could sub in. I don't think it's going to be too noticeable. It's not like a sweater or something that's in stockinette and you could really tell the difference. I think with the texture, it'll be fine. If you have thoughts, let me know. Very curious. I always like to hear what other people are spinning and their thoughts on spinning. There's so much information out there. Yeah, look at this part of the 2-ply. See how thin some of these are? They're like probably lace weight. So I think if I get the yardage, I'm best to go with the 3-ply. But I will give you an update when I know. I decided to start spinning a little bit of the Malabrigo, the color for my contrast color. And this is such a different spinning experience for many reasons. One, it's merino, so it's much finer. The Corriedale, not quite as fine. Also, this is a top roving or a top preparation, and the other one was a roving. So in the roving, the fibers are all jumbled. They kind of stick together. This, it's all going the same direction. So everything's like really not as much wanting to stick together. Also, I think I'm getting a thicker single. I wanted that to be the case, but it wasn't. I mean, it was intentional, but not super intentional. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, I am doing my ply back here, and I'm going to show you. I think I should have a 2-ply sport weight here. So obviously it looks a little thin, although I don't know, sometimes when I apply it just seems like makes it thinner, but this is definitely spinning up thicker just naturally how it wants to spin than the Corriedale did. So I guess that's a good thing. It is definitely difficult to pre-draft, which is not my favorite. I don't like pre-drafting. That was one nice thing about the roving. I didn't have to pre-draft at all. It just, it was pin drafted, so that was part of it. But, anyway, it's kind of fun to be spinning some color, even though I'm really kind of only spinning purple at this point. It's not gray. I got sidetracked from going to bed. I was like, I should see how this spins up. I have a feeling this color being so dark is probably going to bleed when I wash it. And I've also decided on this spin to be less specific about how much I put into the plying balls. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because even if the balls weigh the same, the yardage is going to be different. So it's not generally too hard to just add in a new strand of yarn. You can either spit splice or just sort of wedge it in between. So yeah, I was hoping that this would be a 2-ply because it won't mix up or muddy the colors as much. Also, if I actually spin this as a 2-ply, the spinning should go by faster. I don't know if that's true, but in my head it works that way. Anyway, I think I'm going to spin for a little bit, then I really am going to go to bed. Isn't that so exciting? Color! Actually, I see some orange. There's orange and purple. I'll show you later. It's 8:18 in the morning and I still haven't been to bed. I got sidetracked. I think this is, I don't know, I weighed it. I thought this was like 5 grams. Now I'm second guessing myself. I'll have to reweigh it and check how much my spindle weighs. But I think what I'm going to do is let this rest while I rest and then do a center pull ball and do a 2-ply from the inside and outside of the ball. I might have to spin a little more singles now that I'm thinking about it. But I think it should give me a rough estimate. So I'll wash it. I should be able to knit up a little swatch with my gray and this and see how it looks and see if I'm getting something that I like. It's not like me to sample. What the heck? I think I've gone into a state of crafting delirium. I still haven't slept. I went ahead and plied. Focus. I went ahead and plied my little sample, which is somewhere between 5 and 6 grams. I am quite happy with the thickness it's coming out as, and this is so not my normal yarn. I mean, everything about it is not normal. My goal when I started spinning was just to like spin as thin as I could all the time. And once you kind of get that skill, it's really hard to change. But that is quite thick for me. I know that sounds crazy. Most people would not call that thick, but it's very thick for me. That is a 2-ply sport weight, unwashed. And my twist is fairly low. Also strange for me, but I don't think it's too low. I'm very excited to see how this comes out. I'm gonna go ahead and wind it on the Nitty Knotty and put this in a very hot bath to soak while I sleep, and I promise I really am going to sleep this time. I just couldn't stop. It's so hard to stop. Here it is. 17 wraps around the Nitty Knotty, which is about 28 yards. I really like, and I'm surprised by the color, and I know it's just a small little sample, but it's more muted than I expected. I thought it would be a bit more extreme, but I like it. I hope it will contrast enough with the gray. Actually, so here is the gray next to it. I know it's distracting with all these ties in here. Yeah, I think that will contrast just fine. And I'm gonna get it washed. We'll try a sample on my next days off. I really am going to go to sleep after I wash this. I keep saying that, but it's the truth. My purple sample is out of the wash. It's still very wet, so hard to tell much of anything. I think the twist looks like it kind of evened out. There's still some spots that might not be my ideal spin, but I think it looks okay, like that part right there. But you know, it's amazing what happens to yarn, especially hand spun, when you knit it up. So not too worried. I'm gonna let this dry. I think my gray yarn is ready to remeasure. So I'm going to do that. And I finally got some sleep, thank goodness. And I still feel a bit out of it, but whew, nothing like this morning. So the dogs are crazy behind me. Anyway, I'm going to do some yarny stuff and I'll check back in with you and let you know the final grist and my final decision. Well, my almost final decision, because I'm still going to knit it up, but I don't think that'll change a lot anyway. I'll let you know. The sun is not cooperating over there, so sorry for the glare. I have finished the samples, the 2-ply and the 3-ply, and I recalculated my grist. So according to my little 5-gram sample, the 3-ply should give me roughly 882 yards in my 8 ounces, and I only need like 700-ish. So even although this I know is not like set in stone, I'm not going to get exactly 882 yards, I'm pretty confident that my variance is not going to be greater than, you know, nearly 200 yards in the whole spin. I'm pretty sure. And this one would have given me almost, the 2-ply would have given me almost 1100 yards total. So I think even without knitting the swatch, I'm confident to go ahead and start plying with the 3-ply. I don't think that's going to cause any issues at all. So I think I might get started on that soon. Although part of me is like, maybe you should just wait. Maybe I'll wait. We'll see. Alrighty, thanks for joining me today on this very last day of the men's Tour de Fleece. Tour de France. Oh my goodness. Anyway, you know what I mean. Thank you so much for being here. I will check back in with you tomorrow, Tour de Femme. It is a work day, so it will be short and sweet, which might be nice compared to some of these longer ones, but I do appreciate you guys checking in and seeing how the project's going.